We're continuing Unit 9 of the Moran Yeshurim for the Menucha of Sir Moses Montefiore and Sir Naim Dangur. We're asking the question of, the Gemara says that according to Tanakama at least, and it seems to be the Tarava seems to be the obvious conclusion of the Gemara, that the criteria of whether something has Kedushat Shvi'it, whether what growth, what vegetation has Kedushat Shvi'it, and what are the correct and proper uses of something that has Kedushat Shvi'it, has to be that the destruction and the right that you enjoy as you destroy, or you destroy as you enjoy. By the way, those are two slightly different things, right? You can say destroy as you enjoy, meaning there's no other way to enjoy but by destruction. Or you can say enjoy as you destroy, right? The way to enjoy is through destruction. Right? There's two slightly different things. Just pointing that out. Reb Chaim made an important point that we're not necessarily talking about destruction as much as we're talking about utilization. It's a bit different. An important difference, right? And my question remains, again, I accept Reb Chaim's rebuke, but Reb Chaim's point, still the question remains, why is this an important criteria? So let's see what the Rishonim say. Rabbeinu Chanel says, Makra lachem, makra leochla, klomar, lo nidna lachem shvi'it, ela le'achila. ובעינן לכם דומיה דאכילה. דרך המאכל, ללעוס ולבאר המאכל בלעיסתו מתורת אוכל. כיוון שמגיע בחניכיו, נהנה חיקו מן המאכל בלעיסתו, נדבר אותו הפרי, נמצאת הנאתו, ואת ביאורו באים כאחד. So he says, this is just the definition of eating. What is the definition of eating? Utilization through destruction.
Chewing and using.
Right, so utilization through destruction, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now again, this isn't much of an explanation, but it does give us what is the criteria. Now, there's no other issue at hand, l'chora. You might say, okay, where am I going with this? Look at Mishnah Rishonah here. Mishnah Rishonah says, so in Mishnah Rishonah, the issue is totally different. So Mishnah Rishonah like this. Let's say I'm using the Shmita, I'm using something Shmita as a starter, to start a light, to start a fire, right? To start a fire. So what am I effectively doing? I'm destroying it by burning it. Now it's useful, but when will I get the pleasure? Only later on, when I have the fire, when I have the food, whatever. I'll define that more carefully later on. But right, I don't have any pleasure from this fire yet. Right? Now, where is my future?
But you have a future.
But that's so says the Mishnah Rishonah. No, you have to learn this as a negative. It's not a positive, it's a negative. You're not allowed to use Perot Shvi'it unless you could enjoy them while you're destroying them. If you don't destroy them at all, that's also fine. You see where I'm going here? If you don't destroy them at all, that's fine. But if you are to destroy them, you better enjoy them simultaneously. In other words, the problem is you're not allowed to first destroy the Perot Shvi'it and then enjoy them, right? Rabbeinu Hananel was focused more on what is the essence of the utilization. The essence of utilization is as you devour, right? As it's devoured. Mishnah Rishonah says, if you can enjoy it before you destroy it, that's great. But if you can't enjoy it unless you're destroying it, that's a problem. Because you're not allowed to destroy Perot Shvi'it. You say, wait, but I'm doing it to gain other benefits. Say, that's all very well. Be that as it may, but right now it's already destroyed. So the future benefit doesn't help you. It doesn't save you from the current destruction. That's the way the Mishnah Rishonah defines it.
Rabbi B'Tzalel, the lulav that you use right now is a starter. Okay?
Yes.
It gives you benefit too, because your objective is to put a fire, to make a fire, to create a fire.
Yes, my objective.
Without this starter, the fire will not start. It's the same thing as the food. When we devour the food, our energy it's not immediately starts up. Whatever we need, our satisfaction, it's not immediate. It takes time. It takes time to the digestion. I would compare the starting of the fire to the digestion to give us the energy and the satisfaction.
No, so that's so I think I want to take a deeper dive into what Reb Chaim just said. So first of all, let's define the Mishnah Rishonah better, and then we'll define the Rebbe Chanel better. So first of all, Reb Chaim's point is this: he's saying, why are you looking at the current? Why are you so hyper focused on the current pleasure? And I'll tell you more than that. If you were good, I know Reb Chaim didn't want to say this to me because I'm giving the shiur and stuff, but let me rephrase that for what he really meant to say. If you were a good Baal Midot Jew, you'd say that everything you eat is you're not eating just so your mouth can have the pleasure. You're eating mainly so you can have the koch for Avodat Hashem, right? You're eating so you can have the nourishment you need to do things, right? That's the main reason. You might on the way, it's a good thing that a food also has flavor, and you're allowed to choose the food that tastes better for you. That's all fine. But let's be a good Jew and say the truth is what you should be enjoying mainly, what the true benefit of food is the energy that it gives you to do Avodat Hashem or whatever, and etc. Right? That's the main thing, and that happens later on as your body consumes it later on, not that you destroy it in your mouth. So why are you making that comparison at all? And more deeply, when I use the wood as a starter, right? I'm using the Shmita thing as a starter. You can't say I'm not getting a benefit out of that. Of course I'm benefiting out of that. Why would I be burning it otherwise? So yeah, because look, I'll be able to start barbecuing in an hour if I start the starter now, right? Because the starter will burn out, but will burn the wood, and then I'll be able to have wood, and I'll have coal, and then I'll be able to have a barbecue here. Say, all right, that's all very well, but the benefit, you are currently better off than you were before you started the fire, right? So I think the point is this. I think the point is when you go visit your parents, I know some of you no longer go to eat from their mother's cooking, right? But right, when I go to eat from when I go to eat from my mother's cooking, right? Or from my wife's cooking, right? And she says, well, how's the food? And I say, it's very, very nourishing. This will give me so much koch for Avodat Hashem. Thank you. Right? I was told by my Madrich Chatanim before I was married, this is not a good response. Right, Ilan? Why not?
Not what they want to hear. They want to hear that it's tasty. It's got nothing to do in their minds. They made it. They need to be thanked.
Exactly. It's when I go to my bubby and she gives me her chalent, and it's sorry for a few years I couldn't go to my bubby anymore, but right, and she gives me her chalent and she says, "Nu, how is it?" She doesn't want to hear it's very, very nourishing, even though it's true. And as I said, a good Avodat Hashem Jew should focus on the nourishment. She wants to hear, I put the effort and created something that you are enjoying. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to get out of this, right? And the same goes for my mother, the same goes for my wife. And the same goes now for my kids when they bake, right? They don't want to hear, you used spelt flour, so this is going to be very nourishing. That's not what I hear. They want to hear this tastes great, right? So first of all, I think that on Shmita, as we learned in the previous unit, on Shmita, the focus is on eating from Hashem's table. And then Hashem is, allegorically you can say, like the grandmother, like the bubby saying, "Nu, how's my food?" And it's true that it gives you nourishment, but he also wants you to get the current pleasure. If you're not getting that current pleasure, you miss out on that. So it's true, I benefit from it, but it's not the same thing, right? My mother doesn't want me to take the food home and eat it there. She also doesn't want to give me money and go buy myself something. I mean, sometimes you can have that too, but it's a different pleasure when you give our kids to, right? There's a difference between giving our kids money to go buy something to eat and enjoy and making them a cooked food, a cooked meal, right? It's a different kind of pleasure. The cooked meal is a lot more direct, right? So when we eat off of Hashem's table during Shmita, he wants the pleasure to be simultaneous. He wants, as you consume, you already enjoy, not later on, I also benefit. Now,
what your grandmother wanted
yes,
is to see you
right,
having the pleasure.
Nachon,
Not only knowing whatever it is, but she wants to see your facial reaction the moment that you eat it.
Nachon.
And when you go to a store or when you walk away from her, she won't see it. So she will not have that pleasure. That's what she is missing.
But it's not only that, it's also, I think it's also the difference between when if she gave me something of hers to take home and eat, all right, even if I'll eat her food somewhere else, it's the difference between eating her food, right? Hashem is everywhere, so that makes it easy. Hashem, right? He sees everything. So he sees the pleasure I get, right? But even if I was to take her food and eat it elsewhere, it's still more significant than buying someone else's food with her money, right? Mm-hmm. Because, right, that's that. So now when I'm eating off of Hashem's table, he doesn't want to say, oh, I can see that you benefited from, Hashem gave us everything and Hashem gives us many benefits from everything. But Shmita, the whole idea of Shmita in that sense is that you're eating off of Hashem's table more directly. And the directly means as you consume, and as you consume, the pleasure is already there. As you utilize, the pleasure is already there. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're first destroying and then enjoying. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. That's the Mishnah Rishonah. Now, having said that, I want to explain Rabbeinu Hananel. Rabbeinu Hananel doesn't go into that question. Before I explain Rabbeinu Hananel, I want you to appreciate the nafkamina we're going to see later on. According to Mishnah Rishonah, here's a question. What about if I could utilize the item without destroying it at all, without harming it at all? What would you say then? See the question? Let's say the lulav for sweeping. Let's say I can sweep very gently and very carefully and not harm the lulav at all. Would that fit the Mishnah Rishonah's criteria?
No.
Why not?
Because then you don't use it. You don't utilize it.
No, but you see, the thing is this. You see, Mishnah Rishonah says the problem is that you're mafsid. So that means if I'm not harming it, it's not a problem. The problem is only when you harm it and then enjoy. But if you could enjoy it now and not harm it at all, that's fine. But Rabbeinu Hananel doesn't say that. Rabbeinu Hananel says it has to be like food. The way
one example
to enjoy is by consuming, by destroying, right? And the question remains, why? Why is that? Why should it be that the criteria is that you have to harm it as you enjoy it? And I think the answer is this. You see the question. According to Mishnah Rishonah, we go back to this is a criteria we're aware of the problem of destroying during Shmita. And you say, you destroy food all the time. So there's a heter to destroy the food because you're enjoying it as you destroy it. Okay? The same will apply to anything else, any other use during Shmita, as long as you enjoy it before you destroy it, it's good. Or if you destroy it as you're enjoying it, that's also fine. So that fits the regular criteria of Dinei Hefsed on Shmita. That fits that category. What about the Rabbeinu Hananel who just doesn't know? Just like eating. Why is that so important? Why is you have to davka happen together? You have to destroy as you enjoy. It's not enough that you don't destroy until you enjoy. You need to davka destroy as you enjoy. Why is that? I think the answer is the next step after the Mishnah Rishonah. The Mishnah Rishonah is saying, when you're destroying, I want you to enjoy it, right? I want to have that pleasure then. Rabbeinu Hananel takes it another step and says, I don't want you taking souvenirs. Let's say I can take Shmita fruit and turn it into a bookcase. And then I could use the bookcase for years and years. These bookcases that you see behind me, they've been there for 30 years, 35 years, 35 years. These bookcases have been here. So I can take the Shmita fruit 35 years ago was a Shnat Shmita. If you can check, you'll see. 35 years ago was a Shnat Shmita. So had my father taken Shmita wood, if there is such a thing, Shmita wood, and made these bookcases, so we enjoy them for years and years and years, and we enjoyed the Shmita fruit that kind of Shmita fruit for years and years. L'chor, you think that's a good thing, right? So Ben Chanel, no, it's not the point. The point is, I don't want to take souvenirs from the Shmita. We have a similar halacha by bi'ul, right? Once the fruit is gone from the fields, it needs to be used up because Shmita is only for that year. I don't want taking, right? We all have, all the youngsters here, we have a minhag, right? When we go to our parents for Shabbos, we take all the leftovers after, right? Some of the leftovers after, right? So that's a minhag we have, right? We don't want you taking leftovers and keeping it later. We want you to enjoy the fruit of the Aretz during Shmita. That's the whole point. The point is enjoying the fruit of the Shmita during the Shmita. Then there's Tosefet Shvi'it, because the fruit continues, right? A lot of the fruit is going to only come out after Shmita, but it only lasts as long as there is still fruit on the trees or on the ground, in the bushes, right? As long as the fruit is still out there. But I think the point is this: Mishnah Rishonah says you're not allowed to harm it until you also benefit from it. Rabbeinu Chanel says, I don't want you, no hostages taken. Enjoy it now in my house in front of me now. During Shmita, Kili haaretz. Afterwards, haaretz natan nivna adam. Right? During Shmita, you're eating off of Hashem's table. So eat at the table. Don't put it in your freezer and eat it next year. And don't make a bookcase out of it either. Don't find ways of utilizing it later on. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants you to sit at his table and enjoy it. And sitting at his table, the allegorical table, of course, right? Being Shmita in Eretz Yisrael. I think I want to propose something that I didn't bring in the halacha here. You're not allowed to take Shmita fruit out of Eretz Yisrael. Why not? So there's all kinds of things about Kedushat Haaretz and Tumat Ha'amim v'chulei v'chulei, Tumat Eretz Ha'amim v'chulei. I think the explanation is a lot more simple. The whole point is to sit at Hashem's table and enjoy it. Where's Hashem's table? It's in Eretz Yisrael. You can't take the Perot Eretz Yisrael to Canada and eat them there. I mean, you can the rest of the years. But during Shemitah, where the whole point is to eat Perot Eretz Yisrael under Hashem's, in Hashem, right, by his table, you can't take that fruit and eat it somewhere else.
So why is all the Shmita wine sent to Chutz La'aretz?
The Shemitah wine is sent to Chutz La'aretz?
Yeah, I mean it's huge. They send hundreds of millions of cases, maybe not hundreds of millions, but millions of cases of wine.
It's a good question. I need to look into that. I was not aware, but all right, I'll look into it next time.
Rabbi Bezalel, I think I understand Rabbeinu Hananel. Rabbeinu Hananel goes one step higher than us. He says the fact that you tasted the fruit, the moment you started to chew, then your enjoyment starts.
Right.
Not in the digestion, not in the energy level.
Right.
Much above, much faster, much earlier. That will be like the starter. Like when you burn the leaves, that moment you start is the taste in your mouth.
Right.
And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants immediate, present pleasure to give us, not to wait.
Exactly.
I think 72 minutes or whatever it is. He wants us now. I think that's a big difference.
Exactly. So I totally agree. I completely agree. And then I just want to sum this up. According to Rabbeinu Chanel, the point is you need to utilize it by destroying it.
Okay.
Not because we want to destroy it, but because I want you to enjoy it here and now in front of me, not to take it home for later.
Not to freeze it.
That's Rabbeinu Chanel. Mishnah Rishonah says, I want the focus is the pleasure. So
Yeah.
as long as you don't destroy it until you also have pleasure, that's fine. What will the nafkamina be? Nafkamina will be what happens if I could use it and gain benefit from it without harming it. I just wanted to give an example. We'll give one example and we'll end with that because Rav Baruch is getting tired. Rashi says about the lulav. Lulav ikara na'ato lechabed et habayit hu sh'at biuro v'kilkulo. Dami la'anat achila. Rashi says, how is sweeping with the lulav like eating? Because as you sweep, you destroy the broom. This is very much like Rabbeinu Hananel, right?
Yeah.
It's like Rabbeinu Hananel says, you need the destruction. It won't have kedusha if I can't identify that the use also destroys it. But look at Balamor, he explains differently. If you could use it without harming it, kol sheken. Kol sheken implies a kavachomer, right? Even more so, all the more so, if you could gain pleasure before you destroy it. Why is that? I think he's saying not like Rabbeinu Chanel. I think he's saying like Mishnah Rishonah, right? The point is not to ruin it until you also benefit. Because the idea is not that you need to destroy it like Rashi, like Rabbeinu Chanel. They say you need to be destructive. Balamor, Mishnah Rishonah say you need to see an active pleasure that doesn't happen any later than when you harm it.